Hi, welcome. Today we are going to study part 3 fission fragments and their mass distribution. So, in part 1 we have seen this example. In this, when uranium is bombarded with neutron, it get excited and that excited uranium shows fission to form zirconium and tellurium along with 3 neutrons. Okay, so in this example, that zirconium and tellurium are called as the primary fission fragments. Now, if we call that zirconium as F1 and that tellurium as F2, so based upon their mass number, zirconium having 96 and tellurium having 137, which is greater, so that F2 is called as heavier fragment while that zirconium is called as lighter fragment. Now lighter fragments have mass number ranging from 85 to 105 while heavier fragment having mass number ranging from 130 to 150. Now when we consider this example of uranium, there is a no formation of unique pair of this zirconium and tellurium. So that is, there is no formation of only one pair, but 30 pairs are possible. When we consider nuclear fission of uranium, there can be possibility of 30 pairs, and to count that 30 pairs, the elements which gives yield of 1% and above are considered. So the elements which gives yield less than 1% are not considered, but which gives yield 1% or more than that are considered. So by considering that yields, it is found that 30 pairs are possible in the fission of uranium nucleus. So some possible pairs are here. 4 pairs are shown. In first example, there is a formation of krypton and barium along with 2 neutrons. In second, strontium and xenon along with 2 neutrons. In third, there is a formation of zirconium and tellurium along with 3 neutrons, and in fourth case, niobium and antimony along with 4 neutrons, and so on. So 4 are shown and there can be possibility of 30 pairs. Okay, now next point is approximate limits of the fission modes. Now when we consider this circle shows, suppose if we consider fission of uranium nucleus in which 2 neutrons are emitted along with the fission fragments. So in this circle, see that line OD, it divide this circle into 2 equal parts. So in that case, one part represent the element having mass number 117 and another part represent element having same mass number 117, because it divide it into the equal parts. So 117. Now when we consider line OB, so this part which is smaller, it represent element having mass number 100, while this part is greater, it shows element having atomic mass number 134. Now when we consider line OA, so this part represent element having mass number 95, while this represent element having atomic number 139. Now when we consider line OC, again this part is smaller, it represent element having mass number 90, while this is greater part, it shows element having mass number 144. So these are the approximate limits of the fission modes. Now when we consider OA, that OA represent most probable fission. So which pair which pair is formed? That OA, it shows most probable fission, while OD represent least probable fission. Remember it very carefully that the fission which gives fission fragments having atomic mass number very similar, in this case 117 and 117, there is a least probability of that fission. So OD represent least probable fission, and OB and OC that are intermediate between OA and OD. So why the fission which gives fission fragments having a similar atomic mass number shows least probability, or why OA shows most probable fission? So this we will study in the next video, in the next part. Now it must be noted that when fission take place, all the primary fission fragments have excess neutrons compared to their stable isotopes. And second point is that therefore primary fission fragments show further emission till a stable nuclide isobaric with the primary fragment is formed. Now we will see how it take place. Suppose for example, if you consider this reaction, uranium is bombarded with neutron, it get excited, and after fission it form niobium and antimony along with 4 neutron. So in this case 41 protons are there while 58 neutrons are there. Now this niobium or antimony, they are not stable. Listen carefully, that niobium and antimony, they are not stable because they have excess neutrons. They have excess neutrons, therefore they undergo further fission, beta minus emission, they undergo further beta minus emission, and that niobium form molybdenum and antimony form tellurium. So see, in case of niobium 58 neutrons are there, now neutrons are 57. That molybdenum have half-life period 2.6 minutes and tellurium have half-life period 2.3 minutes. Now again that molybdenum and tellurium undergo further beta minus emission. So what is formed? There is the formation of that technetium and iodine. Now again consider number of neutrons. Here number of neutrons are 56 while there was number of neutrons 57 in case of molybdenum. So it is decreased. So 58 to 57 to 56. In this case 82, 81 to 80. Now see half-life period. Here 66 hours and here 12.5 minutes. So when we go from molybdenum to technetium, there is increase in half-life period. So when we go from technetium to iodine, there is increase in half-life period. So stability increases. There is a increase in stability. Now again it further undergo beta minus emission, and in first example there is a formation of ruthenium. So number of neutrons decreased from 56 to 55. So stability increases, and it can be seen from half-life period. So technetium have half-life period 66 hours, but now in case of ruthenium half-life period is 2.1 into 10 raised to 5 years. So as number of neutrons decreases, there is increase in stability, and they are isobaric. When we consider that niobium and ruthenium, they are isobaric because having mass number 99 and 99. Now in this case when we consider xenon, that xenon again show further beta minus emission, and there is a formation of cesium. Again in this case see number of neutrons, it decreases from 79 to 78 and half-life period is 5.29 days. When we compare it with xenon, it is having 20.8 hours. So as number of neutrons decreases, there is increase in half life, so stability is increased. So as I have said earlier, when there is a formation of primary fission fragments, that primary fission fragments, when we consider that they undergo further emission to form a stable product. In this example, there is a formation of ruthenium and cesium. So stable products are formed which are isobaric with the primary fission fragments. So they are isobaric with that niobium and antimony, but stability is increased. So this is important part of these fission fragments. These three are some possible questions. So what do we mean by fission fragments? Then explain approximate limits of the fission modes with example, how a stable nuclides isobaric with the primary fragments are formed, explain with example. Now one part of this topic is remained. We will see that part in the next video. Thank you.